y'all, it's me, Kim. I'm back for another Patrons Only video. I'm back with no makeup, sitting on the floor. The last video was me in the airport, and I was flying to a wedding. One of my best friends from college, or a really good friend from college, got married, and it was just gorgeous, like sickeningly gorgeous, stunning wedding. And now I'm back. That's why we have the trusty green chair in the background and my little raggedy luggage in the background. Luggage is expensive. I was gonna buy some new luggage, and I went to, and I was like, oh my God, luggage costs hundreds of dollars? My mom bought me that, so we're gonna use it. I'm cheap. The next thing I'm gonna buy is a new lens. So, but anyways, I thought that I would, because this is fresh on my mind, I just got back from this wedding. I thought I would take a little bit of time to talk about the importance of friendships in my life, why I nurture them, and how they've been a supplement to the kind of fractured familial relationships that I have. So I am so glad that when I was 17 years old, I was smart enough to choose to go to Harvard. I was so dumb in so many ways. I mean, we are all stupid when we're teenagers. We're all dumb. We do stupid shit. We make bad choices. I'm so glad that in all of that know-it-all stuff and, you know, whatever, that I chose to go to Harvard. I mean, there really was no other choice for me. I mean, there literally was no other choice because I only applied to one school. But I chose to go to Harvard, and I'm so glad that I did, not only because I learned so much about myself and I had the opportunity to study with amazing instructors, but I mean, you can get that anywhere, literally. I mean, we're all partial to where we went to college, but there are amazing teachers everywhere. But ultimately, I found the perfect social environment for me, and that environment allowed me to create lots and lots of great, deep friendships with other Black people and with other Black women in particular. And until I had gone to college, that was something that was really missing from my life. Now, I've always been in Black spaces for a pretty good chunk of my social time. So I grew up very religious. We went to church multiple times a week, and like blackety black church. Not none of this non-denominational Hillsong stuff, okay? We went to Black church, where the church that I grew up in North Texas, women couldn't even wear pants, okay? Like Black church, First Communion, we dress up, but it was on one hand really wonderful for me because so much I think of my appreciation for Black culture and Black traditions is rooted in the Black church experience. And I think it's really remarkable that those traditions, those customs have been passed down. And I think it's important that we keep them sacred, and that's one of the reasons why I'm really off-put by Kanye Sunday service, but we're not gonna go off into that tangent. What we're gonna talk about today is, even when I was growing up, older Black people have always loved me. I mean, older Black people love a high-achieving person. I'm sorry. Older Black people love an overachiever. That was me. But there was certainly a fracture, a kind of disconnect between me and like other younger like Black kids my own age. Now, my best friend in high school was another Black girl, but she went to my high school and we basically had the same upbringing. I mean, you know, her parents were two lawyers and my parents were professional. I mean, you know, we were the same. But yeah, I mean, there were certainly struggles in certain social spaces I definitely like wanted to be in, but I wasn't cool enough. And you know, we are always performing our identities, you know. We're performing Blackness, we're performing I'm a straight woman, we're performing that. I am a feminine woman, we're performing femininity, we're performing gender, we're performing all these things. And I just couldn't perform Blackness in the way that other people could, you know. We didn't have the same kind of performance of our racial identity, right? And so that means that we just like didn't always click and vibe. And I did actually have a couple church friends, right? But we were all also the same. You know, socioeconomic status really does play into a lot. And so, but I also had a really strong sense of race and racial identity. So even my college admissions essay was about race and dealing with that and navigating it. It was just, I mean, you know, everybody's not gonna get along, you know? Just because we're the same race don't mean we're gonna get along. Duh. So I went off to Harvard and had a wonderful time until, my dad died. That's, that was a bummer. But in lots of ways, I had a wonderful time. I was able to find out what I was passionate about. I got exposed to African American studies and Black history and Black culture and Black social science. And I also met my best friends in the world. I was talking to an Uber driver about this when I was in Boston, and there is something really particular about the kind of friendships that you can develop at college. Or I guess it's like when you're hundreds of miles away from your home and you're like kind of stuck on this island together. You're around these people and you're forced to completely rely on each other. And so that's why 12 years after freshman year, my best friends in the world are the friends that I made in college, my college roommates, and other, little Black girls and women. And I'm so glad that I found them, because I absolutely can imagine myself being one of those people who, carries their racial resentment into adulthood because they didn't have intimate relationships with Black children when they were young. I'm sure you see this on social media in particular, where Black people will be like, Black people never accepted me, and it's like, I actually believe that's true. Contrary to what a lot of people try to do, I actually believe that that is true. And I don't think that if you were ostracized from a group of Black people, that is always your fault. Like, no. I think what it is, and this is just my perspective, but I think that in different contexts, there are different ways to perform, to be cool, to perform Blackness. What words do you use? How do you dress? And I think it was a little tricky for me to navigate. And also, my best friends, we have conversations about this. We kind of had some difficulties navigating that when you're going back and forth between white suburbia and these, predominantly these Black spaces, not predominantly Black spaces. It gets a little tricky when you're a kid. Now that I'm older, I understand the code switching, and I understand the balance, and I understand what it means to move fluidly between different spaces. But when you're a kid, you don't know. And so that means that you're just going to be on the outside. And so thankfully, I was able to reconcile that and make peace with it by finding a tribe of Black folks who do it like I do it. And we do it the same way. We do Blackness in very similar ways. Or we understand the kinds of negotiations that we're trying to make when we love Black people and we love being Black. And that is a central and important part of our identities. It is a central part of our politics. But also, we all up in these white spaces and we grew up around white people, or most of them either went to school. I have really good friends who went to, prep schools, or those elite New York City high schools where they would go to the school in the day, the white school in the day, and then come back to their Black neighborhood at night. And so I've recognized in finding this core group of friends for me that experience of trying to juggle that stuff really connects us. And so there are just things that we just don't have to explain to each other. And I'm just so glad that I found a tribe of people who we just don't have to, I can be myself and I don't have to pretend. And I can even talk about some of the formative experiences of my childhood and my adolescence. And it's so amazing for them to be like, yeah, that happened to me. That was me too, girl. I cannot stress enough how thankful I am to have just found so many people who just get it. And they get my life experience, and they get my goofiness, and they get my pop culture references, and they get my jokes, right? And I recognize that a lot of people do not ever find that. I had to move hundreds of miles away and go to this college that nobody goes to in order to find my tribe. That's a privilege. Everybody does not have that privilege. And that's why I'm very, probably more empathetic than most people to folks who kind of feel that young alienation from black communities that imprints itself early. But anyway, I went to college, found my tribe, you know, beautiful black people, talented, smart, ambitious in the ways that, you know, I'm ambitious. And I, you know, went all in, and we are just incredibly close. We link up. Now it's like once a year. Thankfully now we have, you know, real jobs and stuff with disposable income, so we can go to weddings and we can go on vacation. I mean, and so every time we meet back up together, it's like being 19 years old in the dorm again. And I just am so grateful for that. And those relationships are probably some of the most important relationships in my life. And I'm thankful for them, not just because of the racial stuff, but also because I've talked before, like I grew up being really lonely. So not only was I feeling kind of that alienation and marginalization from the other, you know, when we would go to church or whatever, the black kids from other neighborhoods, like, you know, we didn't do the same shit, you know? But also, like, even in my own family, like, I was the weird one or the oddball, and like they were very aggressive about saying that, which is completely fucked up and inexcusable. And I've had to do a lot of work to be understanding and be forgiving. But yeah, you know, I grew up in a home with my mother and my sister, and they were just not. I didn't really get any feedback that was, you're doing fine when I was a kid. The feedback that I got in my home was, you're weird, you're different, what's wrong with you? And so, you know, that does not make for a happy childhood or adolescence at all. And so I was so happy to get away from that. And I found that my friendships have been so healing. Have you ever seen this? There's like a clip of Oprah talking about Gayle. You know, Oprah had a really fucked up home life too, like way more fucked up than my home life. And she's talking about Gayle and says, Gayle is the sister I never had, the mother I always wanted, and all of that, right? So I feel the same way about my best friends. The level of care and kindness and nurturing and understanding that I've been able to find from my closest friends has been exceptionally healing. And that healing started even before I started going to therapy, right? Having people who really get it, who are not judging you, who allow you to be your goofy, ridiculous, silly self, who are not making fun of the music that you like or the movies that you talk about or whatever. It is so, so critical. I am truly empathetic to anybody who has not been able to have that or to find it, because certainly one of the reasons why I was able to love and embrace being a Black woman so much is because I was able to find Black women that I love this much. Does that make sense? I really started to be deeply rooted in my Black feminist politics when I began to develop strong, deep relationships with other Black women my own age, you know, multiple. When it became a community, when it just wasn't, you know, me and my one little Black girlfriend, when it was a real community and it was, what do you need and what can I do for you and are you okay? That's when I was like, oh, what do I need to do to make sure that we can build this up? What do I need to do to give back? Because you guys have given to me, I want to make sure that I'm giving back. And that really is the foundation of my politics. It is a true love and care. It is about a reinvestment into communities, into people who have invested in me. And so now that I'm older, that love and care that I've gotten for these past 12 years from my best friends in the world, my college friends, it actually has helped me to be more understanding and more forgiving of my mother and my sister. And also, you know, going to therapy and working through it and talking through it and journaling, that stuff helps too. But I would be in a much different place emotionally if I did not have deep friendships. Loneliness kills. And I made a video about introversion. I'm still an introvert, you know. I was an introvert as a kid, and even when I was lonely, but now I'm not lonely. I have people to talk to and confide in and lead on. I'm still an introvert. So I don't feel loneliness. Sometimes I just don't want to be bothered. That's a different thing. But now that I have these deep connections that provide the emotional foundation of my life, that honestly has opened me up to be kinder and gentler and have honest conversations with my mother in particular. With my sister, not so much. I mean, I almost feel like I demonstrate my love for her through caring for her children, even though I get a really particular kind of joy. Like, that's healing for me, hanging out with my nieces. But, we're still a little shaky. And I believe as we mature, I'm already 30, but I believe as we move through life that we'll have more conversations and we'll open up more and maybe be able to put some of that stuff to rest. But I'm certainly on the path to that now because of sisterhood, because of friendship, because of I used to be so closed, and I'm still kind of like that and guarded and whatever, but I'm much more open than I used to be. And there's a particular kind of love that I've experienced in my friendships that is deeper and stronger and more powerful than any kind of romantic love that I've ever had. And it rivals the kind of emotional connection that I feel with my family, to be honest. And I used to feel kind of shamed about that, I think there's an expectation that your closest relationships should be with your sister or with your mother or with your family. And I like them. I love them, actually. But those aren't the closest people to me. If I am dialing, I have 5 numbers to dial if something goes wrong, my mom is not number 1 or number 2. Well, she might be number 2. She's either 2 or 3. And my sister probably doesn't make the top 5, right? And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I am healing. I'm not healed, but I'm healing. And I think maybe we can have more healthy, productive conversations about what chosen family is and what that means. And I guess I just made this video to let you know that, like, if you're not super close with your family, your immediate family, that's fine. I absolutely suggest you go and find some good friends, hang out with them, love on them, be open and honest with them. But we do need connection. As humans, we do need connections. We're not made to live alone. And even if you are an introvert like I am, I still believe that we need other people. So I think that's all I have to say about that. I love my friends so much. I make it a point not to put them in videos, just to put them on Instagram just to do it, because these are like people who have good jobs, like really good jobs and like real careers. And I choose to do this because this is my path forward, but it's not their path forward. So I really don't want to be putting people out there, when they're trying to be in the C-suite. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I just thought I would just sit and say, I'm so, so grateful for the love and care of Black women. It is truly transformational. It has improved my life exponentially over the past decade, and I highly recommend it. And I think friendships can be a wonderful supplement for the broken familial relationships that we have in your life. I do believe in trying to mend those things. I'm working on it. I still have my resentments, but I'm working on it. But having great friends has helped me to work on it. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you guys so much for being patrons. I don't even know if this made sense, but you know, I'm doing it. I'm here. I'm talking because I love you guys. Bye.